What's going on, guys? Josh here from Polymathics, the YouTube channel that helps you become a modern-day Renaissance man. And today I'm coming back off of hiatus. It's been maybe a month, maybe longer, since I've posted a video. And a lot of that has been due to technical difficulties. My computer is kind of on the fritz, so I can't use my good camera. But nevertheless, I've adapted and overcome, and I'm using my iPhone. Today, what I wanted to talk about, though, was National Novel Writers Month. I am not doing it this year, although I have done it the last 3 years. And I was in a conversation not too long ago with my brother about what are the pros and cons, and there are tons of videos out there about that. I've done one in the past. I think I did one last year. But when you look at what the major benefit is to doing National Novel Writers Month, a lot of people might say it's getting their novel done. And I would agree with that. There's no greater feeling for an aspiring writer than to finally finish a rough draft of your novel. Or even if you don't finish, to just have 50,000 plus words on paper so that you can finally see your story and look at it, go back to it, rearrange it, sculpt it, all that stuff. However, let's face it, there are hundreds of thousands of writers who do National Novel Writers Month who never get published, who maybe never go any further than that. So for some people, that's all they want, is just to be able to have something that they've done. For other people, they want a little bit more. And I happen to be one of those kind of people. And I was thinking about it, like, what is the real benefit that I've gotten out of NaNoWriMo? Because the first few drafts of my novel, a lot of it wasn't good enough to stay in. And the stuff that is, like, it's an amalgamation of different attempts. So I asked myself, what was the, because I still feel like NaNoWriMo is amazing. But what is it that makes it amazing? And the fact of the matter is, the real benefit that you get from NaNoWriMo is that you get to learn about yourself. Not only, I mean, sure, you build confidence. Like I said before, you have most of your story written down, but when it comes down to it, pardon me, I've got something in my eye. When it comes down to it, you learn how you, as an individual, write. There's a famous quote that Lee Child says in a lot of his interviews, which is, if you ask 10 writers what the best way to write is, what their writing style is, you'll get 11 different answers. And honestly, I've found that to be true in my life as well. I go around, I have a lot of friends who write or who aspire to write, and I've heard a lot of advice. Some of it works, a lot of it doesn't, but that's for me. For them, it does work. So the thing is, every person is coming from a different perspective. Every person is at a different stage in their life. Every person has different responsibilities. A perfect example is, I work in a place where you can't have your phone and other, like, thumb drives and things like that. So automatically there's a barrier to trying to get word count in. Other people, it's other things, but that's just one example. We're all coming to this from a different place. But what I did notice about Nano that I felt was by far the greatest benefit is that I learned how I like to write. I learned how I can effortlessly get 20,000 words down every month without barely doing a thing. And I know, like I said before, I am confident that if I really needed to, I could bust out 50,000 words in a month. And I know all the tips, tricks, and hacks that work for me in my life. I know how to arrange the schedule with my family and friends so that they don't feel left out. So if you're in Nano right now and you're struggling, because this is, from what I remember the last few years, this is one of the hardest parts. You're coming up on Thanksgiving, you're coming up on the holidays, and you're probably falling short of your word count, so you're stressing and you may be second guessing yourself about why you're doing this. Just remember, even if you don't hit the word count at the end of the day, if you don't get it all written down, what you are learning every time you do this, what you are learning is what does work and what doesn't work for you. And a lot of times we have to fail in order to find that perfect way that works for us. So, to give you an example, now that I know, let me explain how that translates into real life. Now that I know that I can effortlessly write about 20 to 25,000 words per month, that allows me to put down a writing schedule that's feasible and reasonable for my real life. So that when it's not NaNoWriMo, I know what I need to do, what markers I need to hit realistically, so that at a certain date, a certain time frame, I can have a finished product that I can publish. And for example, if my math is correct and if the calculators online didn't deceive me, then say 25,000 words is about 100 pages or so, give or take, depending on what format and things like that. But that's about 100 pages, which is about the size of a novella or a novelette. So for someone who maybe can't push out 50,000 words every month, because maybe you're at the stage in your life where you work, you have bills, you have kids, you're going to school, you have family things, whatever the case may be, you know, hey, I can fit in X amount of words, 20,000 words. Well, that's 100 pages right there. You could release small episodical novellas or novels every so many months until the whole story was complete, and then you could package it up as a novel. And a really great example of this that was done in the past to great success was Stephen King's book, The Green Mile. Now, granted, he wrote it a lot faster and it did a different way, but it's an example of how you can take small mini books and build on them until you have your novel. But the thing is, I'm just telling you, that's what works for me. That's what I'm looking at. But I know that for myself because I did it. I went through the steps and the actions and the failures and the motions and the writing and the bleeding on the paper to find that out. And so if you're out there and you're struggling, stick with it. Even if your novel, you have to scrap half of it, just remember there are some intangibles that you're learning about yourself and that you're cultivating for your own personal writing style that will always stay with you. So, I hope this has been helpful and hopefully encouraging to at least one of you out there. But until next time, take it easy.